mining activity, and its contribution has far outweighed the collective contribution of others. The areas cleared by all agencies since May 2009 is shown on the screen. 75% of the build-up area and livelihood areas have been cleared, and balance 25% will be cleared before the end of this year, leaving the jungle and highly contaminated areas, which is highlighted in red, to be cleared subsequently. Substantially reduced financial overheads of HDU has made it most cost-effective when compared with other humanitarian mine clearing agencies funded by donors. Hence, it is essential for the country to expand capacity building without further delay, as it would expedite early completion of recovery of mines, leading to a mine-free Sri Lanka. As of today, SLHDU comprises 1,500 deminers, 29 flare machines, and 6 mine-detecting dogs. Use of national capacity in humanitarian demining tasks can contribute positively to build the community confidence. The development of national capacity will eventually help in winning hearts and minds of the people. The experience gained in conducting humanitarian mine action in the aftermath of war in Sri Lanka can be broadly categorized as socio-political and technical. I would like to share some of the lessons we learned with reference to socio-political issues. And the first one would be guaranteeing safety of the returning IDPs should be the yardstick for resettlement process, and demining takes precedence over other prerequisites in the endeavor. Secondly, issues related to demining should be considered from a disaster management point of view. Honoring the right and wish of the people is essential, but it should not compromise the safety and security of them. Another very important point is demining operations must be immediately followed by the restoration of essential services and renovation of infrastructure, and if possible, both should be executed simultaneously. Building and improvement of national capacity in humanitarian demining is a must in terms of cost, efficiency, and aspects of reconciliation, without heavily depending on other options. Lastly, ineffectiveness in MRE programs should be overcome and should be conducted in a framework of cultural, political, and social setting of the target segment of the community. MRE programs should have a deep understanding inculcated in the minds of IDPs and minimizing communication gaps, including language and cultural barriers. I would also like to discuss some of the issues that surface pertaining to technical aspects. Clearance tasks to be based on the information available on the IMSMA database, and the accuracy of the data, especially of high priority areas, needed to be confirmed on ground. Identification of hazardous areas based on evidence is very important and needs to be maintained at all times. With the resulting of IDPs in certain areas, which led to new information, it was possible to reclassify the areas towards speedy conduct of humanitarian demining to expedite the resettlement. Also, to facilitate speedy return of IDPs, many residential and livelihood areas were cleared without any prior information on contamination. This led to the clearance of large areas that contain no mines and explosive remnants of war contamination, thus wasting limited capacity. Therefore, it is important to identify the confirmed hazardous areas during non-technical survey process prior to commencement of the resources. In the initial stages, allocation of clearance tasks based on visual boundaries led to confusion. By allocating survey tasks according to administrative boundaries, solved the problem, which also made task allocation much easier. And the most important aspect is identification of priorities of demining should be based on the situation and not on historical data. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, the process formulated by the government of Sri Lanka to manage the IDPs in the aftermath of the military victory was a unique process in many aspects. The return of IDPs back to their neighborhoods under the control of the government of Sri Lanka in a phased-out process to guarantee the safety of returnees gave the desired results. This confirms that demining takes precedence over other prerequisites in the process of resettlement of IDPs. It also highlights the need to educate the people on risk of mines using all possible means of communication. Ladies and gentlemen, the pictures that will be shown on the screen will give you a better understanding how the humanitarian demining efforts facilitated the innocent public in restoring their normal lives. This is Mena Rice Bowl in the year 2008, and you can see the state of paddy fields then. The next picture is taken in early 2009, where HDU is carrying out demining activities. And now you can see the same area at the end of 2009, and this gives an indicator how successful humanitarian demining has been. The harvest from this area alone was 38,000 metric tons, which could be fed to people in Mena district for 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, in the post-conflict situation, following a brutal war, demining is an absolute necessity to commence sustainable peace-building initiatives, which is currently being successfully implemented in Sri Lanka. Thank you very much.